All right, now we're moving on to another type of connective tissue, supporting connective tissues. They consist of cartilage and bone. Examples of cartilage are hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and fibrocartilage. And of course, you know bone. And there's two types of bone, or there's a compact bone here, and spongy bone. And they're both within the bone itself. They're not different types like hyaline would be found in different places than as elastic and fibrocartilage. Within bone, there's compact and spongy bone, and we'll learn about that. So let's start with cartilage. As I said, there are three types of cartilage: hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and fibrocartilage. All of them have something in common. The thing that they have in common is they all contain cells called chondrocytes. Chondro means cartilage. Anytime you see the word chondro, you can think cartilage. Cyte means cell. So it's a cartilage cell. If you look down here, you'll see osteo, which means bone, and cyte, which means cell. So it's a bone cell. So they all contain chondrocytes. That's what these cells are in here. Here's a chondrocyte right here. I'm going to thicken up this pen. Here's a chondrocyte right here with the nucleus, as you know. And that's in hyaline cartilage. Hyaline. Notice how elastic cartilage also has chondrocytes. Notice the chondrocytes in elastic cartilage. And in fibrocartilage, you also see chondrocytes. What's a chondrocyte again? Well, cyte means cell, chondro means cartilage. So it's a cell that lays down cartilage, fibers of cartilage. Now, something interesting about them too is these cells aren't just randomly moving about the cartilage. They are kind of stuck inside a little canal or a little gap or a hole called a lacuna. So this is the cell here, but the lacuna is out here. I'm going to thicken up that now. Let's go a little thicker. The lacuna is sort of an outer shell that the chondrocyte rests in. So there's a lacuna and the cell rests inside. Looks like two chondrocytes inside a lacuna here and here. Chondrocytes are these cells that are constantly making the fibers, making the cartilage fibers, and you can see the collagen fibers running through this cell. These are fibers of collagen. How did they get there? Well, they're being made by these chondrocytes, and they make this fiber and lay it down. So next, so this is the collagen fiber here, and they're running through here. Notice the difference in the type and amount of cartilage. The second type of cartilage is elastic cartilage. And elastic cartilage, you can see here, doesn't have collagen in it. Its chondrocytes make elastin, a really stretchy kind of fiber. So elastic cartilage contains elastin. So you can see elastic fibers here off to the right, in elastic cartilage. And it's a protein. They're made out of elastin and a little bit of collagen in there. So the difference between hyaline cartilage and elastic cartilage, elastic has a different type of fiber in it. It's got more elastic fibers in it, whereas hyaline cartilage has more collagen fibers. Where is hyaline cartilage found? Hyaline cartilage is found, it's a very slippery cartilage. Look on the knee here, the knee joint here. It's a very slippery cartilage on the edges of your knee joints, and they slip against each other and makes your knees nice and smooth. Where is elastic cartilage found? Elastic cartilage is found in the ear. You can feel your ear right now, and you can feel how flexible it is. It's not overly tough. It's certainly strong, but it's flexible. Why? Because it has these elastic fibers in it that are a little more stretchy, a little less tough, and a little more stretchy. Hyaline cartilage is, like it said, it's very smooth and very slippery. There's a very thin layer right here in your on the edge of your on the end of your femur and tibia. Now, looking at the fibrocartilage, well, you can guess why it's called fibrocartilage. Well, just look at it. Look how it's got these tough collagen fibers running through it. Dense, and tough. So it would be the strongest tissue. Where is it found? In the vertebra here. This is your disc, your intervertebral disc. You hear about people getting disc herniations. Well, there's a very tough outer fibrous layer of cartilage on the outside. The disc is inside. The nucleus is in, pulposus is inside. But outside there's a very, very tough layer. And if that layer ever weakens, you can get a disc herniation out the back here, pressing on a nerve, causing sciatica and other problems. So let's review on the right side here. Fibrocartilage has that dense fibrous tissue. Lots of it. You can see there's more than the others. That's why it's so strong. It offers strength and flexibility, resisting impact and tensile forces, meaning compression forces in the spine and stretching forces in the spine. It resists those forces equally as well. The elastic cartilage is similar to hyaline cartilage, except that it contains some more collagen. Although it's got mainly it has elastin, but mostly collagen. But some collagen. Let's move on to bone. And I've expanded the screen here. Bone is very similar to cartilage, except that it is mineralized. The cells, the osteocytes, lay down hard mineral inside the bone, making it, well, hard. The bone makes up the skeleton, which is the anchor, as you know, for muscles and tendons and ligaments. It also carries a lot of calcium, as you know. That's one of the minerals. And it's where it houses the calcium that's needed for our body. Inside the bones, some bones, there is where blood cell formation occurs, in the marrow of the bone. Now let's take a look at it. Let's work from the outside inside. There is a thin outer layer right on the outside of fibrous tissue called the periosteum. Peri meaning outer, osteo meaning bone, on the very outside of the bone. And it's a thin layer. It's not bone per se, but it's a thin layer of fibrous tissue that actually, doesn't say it over here, but it's heavily innervated. It has a lot of nerve activity. So as a therapist, when you go and you press on maybe a bony area, say the shoulder or the knee or something, and you find pain, it's usually the periosteum that's painful. And here it is in this diagram here, this outer layer right here. And it's very thin fibrous layer, sort of a wrapping. Think of it, periosteum, as saran wrap surrounding the bone. And then the next layer in, working from out to in, is the compact bone. Compact bone is this layer right in here inside the periosteum. It's that hard, compact area here. Like I said, the periosteum wrapped around the outside. And then all the way toward the middle, to the middle, is spongy bone. And this is, see, your bones can't be made of 100% compact bone. They would be too heavy. You wouldn't be able to move around. So the genius who created this human body decided to make the inside of bones nice and spongy with gaps in there. And these sort of little bridges in bony areas are called trabeculae. Trabeculae. So that is the spongy bone. Now let's look inside the compact bone. How is this bone created? Compact bone is this area from, look at the big diagram here. Let's say from here to reaches the spongy bone. And it's more than meets the eye. You can see there's this sort of complex, these concentric circles everywhere. And they are a system called a Perversion system. And in the middle of the Perversion system is a Perversion Canal. And here it is running downward. Here's the Perversion Canal with these concentric layers going outward, creating the Perversion system. These layers are called lamella, or lamellae is the plural. And inside, and there are gaps between the lamellae, here and here and here and here all the way down. And these gaps are called lacuna, just like the chondrocytes lived in the lacuna. Guess who's inside the lacuna of the bone? It's the osteocytes. So there are little cells, little bone cells in here. Remember, chondrocytes create cartilage, make cartilage. Well, osteocytes are cells that make bone. And they do so in this layering system here. Once again, the layers are called lamellae. The canal that goes right down the middle of each of them, in the middle there, is called a Perversion Canal. And each unit is called a Perversion system. Well, there needs to be a blood supply. So where do you think the blood vessels run? I'll mark the blood vessels in red. If blood had to get up and down, of course, it would run through the blood vessels would run through the Perversion canals. Now, blood needs to travel from Perversion system, one Perversion system to another Perversion system, one Perversion canal to another Perversion canal. It does so through what are called Volkmann's canals. Obviously, a guy named Volkmann found and discovered these canals and named them after himself. Here's the blood vessel outside the bone. See, the inside of your bone needs nutrients as well. How do the nutrients get there? Well, through the blood, through the Perversion canals and Volkmann's. One more thing that's not shown here is the osteoclast. The osteoclast is a special type of bone cell actually located in the Maybe they are shown somewhere. Let's look for osteoclasts. Here's an example of an osteoclast over here, letter I. I suppose it's this little drawing right here. Well, what osteoclasts do, think of the term clast, iconoclast. There's somebody that breaks the mold, right? In society, they break down your perceptions of what something is or was. Well, osteoclasts do the same thing. They break down bone. If the osteocytes, and there's another called osteoblast. They're not here anywhere, but where are they? I know they're in here somewhere. Anyway, you'll see the word osteoblast in here. That is a, there it is right here. An osteoblast is are cells, osteoblasts are cells that blast out bone matrix. They create more. They increase the bone, the hard bone. Osteoclasts break down the bone. Because if osteoblasts are left to just continue to make more and more and more and more and more bone, our bone would get out of control and it would grow to be too much. We have osteoclasts to break down some of the extra bone and sort of mold and shape the bone the way it needs to be. This concludes page 10 of Anatomy Coloring Book. I am Dr. Stephen Harkins. And we will see you at the next lesson.